I retired from my first responder job, by the way, it's December 20th, 2025. I'm out and about running errands and, handling my business. But before I retired from my first responder position, I started watching a lot of videos about people living in their vehicles because I was fascinated by that. And I did a lot of research on people that are unhoused, as they say, or homeless. And of course, before that, I did a lot of research on people dealing with narcotics, some type of vice that's interfering with their ability to provide for themselves properly, meaning finding proper housing, transportation, and this and that and the other. So I was fascinated by people that decided to live in their vehicles because, everything is a free will decision. Even though a lot of people don't want to admit that, it is all free will. It's a free will decision as to how you want to manage yourself and how you want to take care of yourself, blah, blah, blah. So I got fascinated by the people that decided to live in their vehicles because they became real creative with it. They were creative. They decorated it just like a small studio apartment. A lot of people did. And, they felt that it was a type of freedom. In certain ways, it is a freedom. Everything, has its pros and cons. Everything has its positive and negative. So I was fascinated by that because, like I said, I love how people were being so creative. They created, a home within their vehicle, blah, blah, blah. And then, like I said, I did years of research as well on people that are homeless. And I was fascinated by how people initially thought that was a form of freedom. I don't have to pay rent. I don't have to listen to a landlord, blah, 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 blah. So I became fascinated with what was happening in with that segment of our society. And then I realized, a lot of it has a lot to do with religious indoctrination. And a lot of it has to do with religious indoctrination along with substance abuse, vice. You are suffering from some type of abuse with substances, with drugs, alcohol, prescription. A lot of people were shocked. I'm not sure why, but a lot of people were shocked when, a grandmother figure became addicted to painkillers. I don't know why people were shocked by that. It's a narcotic. So a lot of them secretly started living in their vehicles because they didn't want their family to know. They didn't want their friends to know. They didn't want anybody to know that they lost their home to substance abuse. Some type of, gambling is another one. I knew of someone that gambled away everything and ended up having to live in their car and this and that and the other. So all I'm saying is there's a correlation, and a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, we know that." These fucking know-it-alls. They always say, "Well, we know that," but they're not. They're not walking the talking. They have made. See, I'm gonna keep saying this. A lot of people have made their livelihoods off the backs of people suffering. So that's why they have these rescue missions, the homeless coalitions, and I really don't care right now that I'm offending people. Advocacy, claiming they care about homelessness, claiming they care about people recovering from abuse of alcohol, drugs, narcotics, whether they're prescription or not. And what's happening is a lot of people have made their livelihoods off of the backs of that. Because if they weren't in these rescues if they were not so-called caring about the homeless, caring about people that are recovering from drugs or alcohol, they'll probably be in the same boat. So so think about this without being offended. What do you think people are going to focus on? Are they going to focus on people being housed? Are they going to focus on people being treated for narcotics abuse? Are they going to focus on people being healed versus healing versus recovering? I've talked about this many times before. So you do the thinking about it. You tell me what you think. Well, you don't tell me. You tell yourself. Okay? No one has to know that you're thinking about these kind of things. No one has to know that you're contemplating these kind of things, because it's important that you do. It's important that you cultivate, contemplate, and try to figure out what's really, really going on without being offended. Okay, stop with all of this being offended by every little thing someone does or says, and just silently think about it. See if you can figure out what's really going on so you can save yourself. And the reason I'm talking about this is eventually, if your intentions are not pure, guess what's going to happen? Guess what's going to happen? You are going to possibly end up in the same position or predicament if you don't become honest with yourself and stop lying, and see if you can be honest and direct with yourself at the same time while being kind and gentle. Peace and love, universal love, was always inclusive. We as a humanity divided it and turned it into commodities, right? Just be kind and gentle, accept it, see what you can do honestly to change it. Trust me, I will be back.